What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to be doing another game review, and we're going to be covering Call of Duty Cold War. We're going to be covering the positives, the negatives, most importantly the negatives, and we're going to give you guys a grade on the game and let you guys know whether it's worth your money or not. Now, one of the things that I want to say before we actually get into this video that is a very important point to note in my opinion is that we're going to be grading this game up against essentially Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Warzone. We're going to be comparing it against its predecessor and determining whether this is a building block in the franchise or whether this is simply a game that may fall flat in comparison to its predecessor. And so this is a very important review in my opinion because Call of Duty had a revival with Modern Warfare and with Warzone. Everybody's been playing it. Everybody loves that game, and it's very important to compare this game against it and give you guys an honest opinion of the good, the bad, and the ugly from this game and what's worth it and what's not. So we're going to grade this on 11 different categories. We're going to grade it based on gameplay, the maps, multiplayer maps, of course. We're going to grade it based on multiplayer game modes, the overall presentation of the game, so what you're seeing on the screen right now, the graphics of the game, the guns that are available to us, the loadout system itself, matchmaking itself, zombies, the campaign, Battle Royale, and then we're going to give it an overall score. So just to get into it, first and foremost, we're going to talk about gameplay. And if there's one word to describe this game in comparison to its predecessor, it is clunky. This game is clunky in so many different areas. You guys might notice lag in various different areas that you didn't notice in the previous Call of Duty game. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you would never see lag in the loading screens going from one to the other. Just simply in this loading screen alone, I have multiple times been frozen on a single game mode, and then when I try to click between game modes, it'll lag for a bit before it actually scrolls over to the next one. I've had many issues very simply with the clunkiness of the game itself, and that's not even talking about multiplayer or any of the game modes. So whenever you actually get into a multiplayer match, it is very clunky. The movement is slow. The movement just doesn't work. It doesn't flow the way that it would. It is not as smooth as you would have seen in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And that's a major drawback. Whenever you're coming from a game that is as successful as Call of Duty Modern Warfare, in order to capture people's attention, you have to build upon what was given to them before. And this game fails to do that with the clunkiness, the slow movement. A couple other issues I've noticed is just trying to jump over an object that is maybe ankle height. You can't do it for some reason, but you're able to mantle over a massive rock that is 2 times your height. So there's some very weird mechanics going on with the gameplay that need ironed out. It's just not smooth. And like I said, one of the major points here is that this game just feels clunky from a gameplay perspective. Next, we're going to talk about the multiplayer maps. First, I should give the gameplay a grade. So I gave the gameplay grade a D for right now, about a 65 rating out of 100. It's just not very good compared to its predecessor. Personally speaking, I would rather go back and play the previous game. I'd much rather go and play some Warzone or go and play some Call of Duty Modern Warfare than I would play this game multiplayer wise, because it's just not very good. In terms of the maps that they've offered us as well, they're not very good. They don't feel developed all that well. They feel clunky. They feel kind of unbalanced, I guess you could say at times. Something that happens in these maps a lot is that there are wide open areas that you just don't want to traverse at risk of getting killed from various different angles, and so they try to funnel you in to one half of the map essentially, and you're constantly getting spawned behind, killed from behind, various different things. And so there are multiple problems with the maps themselves that are causing those issues with spawns and getting killed from behind and not having head-to-head gameplay, but having basically free-for-all style of gameplay in all of the different multiplayer type of modes. And so essentially I think that they need to do a better job with their map making, because they just simply did not do a very good job in this game. And that's what I have to say for the multiplayer maps. They again get a 65 overall grade, which is a D. Moving on to the multiplayer game modes themselves, The multiplayer game modes themselves, most of them just don't play very well. It's so odd that I'm having to say these things about a game that is following up one of the most successful rebounds in a video game franchise history with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and how well they did with that game, and the fact that, you know, most of these game modes just aren't very good. They don't play very good. It's just it's kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. It is disappointing. That's the reality of the situation. I've gone through so many of these different game modes and they just simply don't play well. They don't flow well. The only game mode that I've found so far that I really think actually plays decent is Domination, a very basic game mode. But, you know, I've played Kill Confirm, VIP Escort, Hardpoint, Team Deathmatch, Control, Free For All, Search and Destroy. We've played all of these, and they just simply don't play that well in comparison to the predecessor game and in comparison to other Call of Duties in the past. And so that's a major problem for me. In addition to that, the Treyarch developers are known for Demolition. Demolition should be in this game, and I know there's a lot of people that don't like Demolition, but Demolition is the backbone, in my opinion, of a good Call of Duty game. Hate on me if you will, but Demolition is the backbone of a good Call of Duty game because you have set spawns for each team, and you're each going head-to-head. You eliminate that possibility for the spawns to flip and people killing you from behind constantly. You eliminate that frustration out of the gameplay, and it comes down to skill versus skill. One team going head-on against another team going head-on directly against each other. That is how you have a backbone of a game, and that just simply isn't here. And so for that, you know, not having demo, that's a huge problem, because that could overcome a lot of the problems in these maps with the wide open areas of space. They could have a demolition bomb in them, which would create more traffic in those wide open areas and things like that. You know, spread people out a little bit more as opposed to funneling them all into one corridor. A lot of the problems with this game could be resolved by simply adding demolition into the game, or game modes that have more of a set spawn like that. Sure, they do have VIP Escort, but that game mode just doesn't even play very well in itself because it's a cooperative game mode and you need to have a full team for you to be able to go up against some of the people that play in that game mode. And so that's a problem. Most of the game modes just really aren't all that playable right now. On top of just them not flowing well and not playing well, you'll also have long wait times for some of the game modes that you'll want to play. I've tried to play VIP Escort on numerous occasions and taken forever to find a match, even if I put it into my playlist with multiple other essentially game modes. I end up playing the same game modes over and over again. If I had all of these selected, it would probably drop me into hardpoint 9 out of 10 times, and so that is an issue in itself. That goes a little bit towards matchmaking, but with that being said, the multiplayer game modes from me get an overall grade of a 60. They get a D-. I mean, so far there's just not been anything good on this review list. But with that being said, we're going to go to presentation. And presentation here, as I mentioned before, the menus can be a little bit clunky and a little bit laggy at times, but you know, I'm not going to penalize them too hard for that. They have great graphical detail. You know, when I go into multiplayer, for example, and you see all the things that are going on in the screen, the things that are going on in the background whenever you pull up your loadout, the pictures on your guns, the guns that show up on the wall, all of the presentation that's going on here is actually really good. So I don't really have any complaints from that perspective. It's very detailed. It's a good graphical appearance, and so for me, the presentation gets a low B, in the low 80s. I kind of found it hard to give it an exact grade, but I'd say probably like an 81 or 82 would be about accurate. And with that being said, that leads into the graphics of the game. The graphics of the game are absolutely fantastic. So this game gets about a 94 for me, which is an A. The best grade that this game is possibly going to get. Essentially, we're on the PS4. These look like next-gen graphics almost. I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic as a game. And when you're in zombies, zombies, multiplayer, even just the menus in campaign. The graphics for it all look absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. I think that this is one of the best graphical games that we've gotten in terms of Call of Duty, but what I will say is that's kind of a fool's gold. For whatever reason, a lot of developers nowadays think that that's all people care about, is the graphics in the game. And yeah, they do matter a little bit, but when it comes down to it, most gamers care about the gameplay. They care about the substance. They care about what they're doing as opposed to the visuals of what they're looking at. Even a lot of gamers nowadays turn down the visual settings to make it so that their gameplay plays better because they don't have all of the graphics, you know, demanding essentially memory from their system and preventing the gameplay itself from being as good. And so yes, the graphics are going to get an A for me, a 94 grade, but like I said, it's a bit of a fool's gold thing. You know, they give us great graphics, but what does that say about the gameplay? You know, are they trying to distract you from the fact that the game just isn't very good in itself? The guns, in my opinion, get a C. They get a 75 grade. The guns, you know, another word that I found to describe them as I was playing the game early on is just clunky. Again, that word just keeps coming up. The guns are clunky. But what I will say is that the guns feel like a neutral point. And the reason that the guns feel like a neutral point is because they're overshadowed by everything else going on in the game. All the other issues prevent me from just simply focusing on leveling up my guns and having fun with what I have available to me. And so, you know, there is some potential there, but on the flip side, there's just not a lot of guns to even choose from to begin with. And I know that during this time period, there isn't going to be a lot to choose from, but with that being said, the guns get a C grade because they're just kind of a neutral point in all of what's going on with this game. On the same note, pretty much, we're going to talk about the loadout system. The loadout system for me gets a 70, which is a C minus. The loadout system in itself is a little bit wonky compared to what we've seen from previous games. And like I said, it's not exactly clear what is going on with every single attachment. Like, yeah, it gives you these plus percentages and things like that. But again, there's been talk that just because it says it's plus bullet velocity or plus this or plus that, there's more going on with specific attachments. You know, the 10.1 inch Cavalry Lancer barrel for my MP5 says plus 200% vehicle damage, but supposedly it does other things as well that it's not showing you. And so there's a little bit of oddity going on there with the loadout system. But one of the major detractors that I will say here is that yeah, they give us all these different attachments to choose from. That's fantastic and all. But everybody's going to run pretty much the same loadout once they figure out what the optimized version of the gun is. So why, in a game in 2020, do we only have 5 guns in each category, even some categories only having 4 guns or 3 guns to choose from? I'm sorry. I know that this is the time period and they didn't have a lot of selection back at this point, but come on. Give us more than 5 guns in each category. We're in 2020. I've been saying this about every single Call of Duty game for the past 3 years probably. Give us more. Why every single year in Call of Duty do we have less guns than we had the previous year? It bothers the heck out of me, and I can't stand it that they just won't give us more options to choose from, and that would help with the balance of the game in itself. It's just lazy to me, in my personal opinion. And so for that, like I said, the guns, the loadout system, the guns get a 75, the loadout system gets a 70. The matchmaking is the next thing to talk about, and this is the worst point of the game. The matchmaking gets an F for me. It gets a grade of 50. That's the worst grade I've ever given anything in a game review, and it's flat out true what they're trying to do. I generally don't consider myself a good Call of Duty player, but I don't consider myself a bad Call of Duty player. And the fact of the matter is, the skill-based matchmaking system that they've had in Call of Duty, especially in this one, is absolute garbage. It tries to make you have a 1 KD. It tries to make it so that you don't go on a winning streak. It basically takes the fun out of the game, because you can't have those matches very often where you go off and get all the kill streaks that make the game fun in the first place. the matchmaking system just totally takes the fun out of this. And whenever I play with a friend that's better than me, I'm then going up against sweaty players the entire time, and it's even further detracting from my entertainment in the game, because all I want to do is go in and get a couple kill streaks, win the objective, and win the game. And the skill-based matchmaking system is preventing anybody from doing that. I've heard a lot of pro gamers even say they don't even have a 2KD because all it's doing is matching them up against the best of the best non-stop. And it's not healthy for Call of Duty. It's not healthy for this type of game. In this type of game, you need that randomness, not knowing who you're going to get matched up with from one game to another. You could have a fantastic match one game and a terrible match the next. That's the enjoyment of a Call of Duty game, and I don't know how we got away from that. The next item that we're going to talk about zombies. Zombies I played for quite a while. Zombies actually gets a pretty good grade from me, a high 80, which is an 88, and a B grade. Generally, I think that the game plays really well, and it's actually a lot smoother than the multiplayer is. When I've been in the zombies matches, it just feels better. It feels smooth. It feels like they worked on it more. It feels like they worked out the kinks and things like that. It feels nice. I mean, it's a good addition to the zombies kind of universe. What I will say is that I don't think that I'm into all of the teleporting and trippy stuff that they're trying to do with it. I've said this about other games in the past with things like, specifically with things like the what's the franchise that I'm thinking of? I'm drawing a blank here. But I don't like when they go in these trippy directions where you're teleporting around constantly to different universes and stuff. But that's just me. So I'm not going to deduct them a ton of points for that, because the gameplay itself plays really well. They do have the ability to train zombies around, which, in the past they've tried to do away with that, and that kind of takes away the fun of it. But in addition to that, they added a lot of really fun bonuses to the game. The ability to extract at the end of a match or whenever you're done. You don't just all have to die at the end and things like that. They've added a lot of really nice stuff to zombies, and so zombies gets a pretty good grade from me. The campaign as well gets a pretty good grade from me. It's going to get an 82B. Now, I haven't played particularly far into the campaign. I've played about 1, maybe 2 missions in it, but it felt pretty smooth while I was actually in gameplay. But one of the things that I want to note about campaign on this game is that the cutscenes are surprisingly laggy. I don't know why, but again, the word clunky comes up to me. Like, yeah, the graphics are fantastic in the cutscenes, but for whatever reason, they just continue to lag for me, and I don't know if I need to adjust my graphics settings on my PS4 Pro to turn it down so that I can get proper frames out of it, or what's going on with it, but for whatever reason the cutscenes are lagging for me, and so that's a problem for me. And then in addition to that, I've been playing multiplayer in zombies, and then I went to play campaign, and it was like, oh, you have to install this separately, and I just was confused by that. I don't know why you make it so that campaign is installed separately. For a lot of people, that's the first thing they play when they get on the game, is the campaign, to get used to it, and then they jump into the other game modes. So I find that to be a bit weird, and that's a bit of a detractor. So the campaign gets an 82B from me. In terms of Warzone / Battle Royale, which is the last category that we're going to talk about, it gets a D- for me for a 60. Just let me click on Warzone and show you guys what it says. So I click on Warzone, and it's going to launch the other game, or it's going to try to. And I just don't understand why that is. Whenever it popped up on the screen for me, you guys wouldn't have been able to see that. It said you need to have the disc inserted for the other game. So can somebody explain to me how I can have the disc inserted for the other game if I have the disc for Call of Duty Cold War in my system? I don't understand that. I don't know why that is. Why do you even have a tab for Warzone here if you can't have this game in your system to play Warzone? It just doesn't make sense. So personally speaking, I think Call of Duty Cold War absolutely should have had its own Battle Royale mode. I think that it is very lazy of them to not have their own Battle Royale mode. I understand what they tried to do by transitioning Warzone over and basically like including the guns and things that are going on in the Warzone or in the Cold War game, include them into Warzone. But man, I'm just puzzled by the fact that it says I have to have both discs inserted, essentially, to be able to play Warzone. Why even have this tab for me? Now, I know what you guys are going to say. If you have it digitally, you can have the disc in for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and then that will allow you to play Warzone. But that just seems backwards to me. That just, why even have this tab here? It doesn't even make sense. Why not just have a thing on the screen that says, if you want to play Warzone, go pop in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and you'll be able to play Warzone with all of the weapons from this game or something like that. It's just very odd to me, and to me, it's lazy. Not a lot of attention to detail there, in my opinion. It's like they don't understand that people have discs and actually use those anymore. So for that, Battle Royale gets a D- for me, which is a 60. With all that being said, I know that I had a lot of negatives in there. The overall grade for the game came out to around a 71.7, which is a C-, relatively speaking for me. I guess it could be a C, but I'm going to say C-. Essentially, for me, the game's not worth your money. If you haven't purchased it yet, I recommend that you do not purchase it, because if you want a good Call of Duty experience, go play Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Modern Warfare. Go play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, play Warzone. You'll get a great experience out of it, and you're not going to waste $60 on a game that's clunky and just isn't all that fun to begin with. Now, if you want to play zombies, the zombies mode is really good. The campaign mode is pretty good. So if that is what you care about, then yeah, the game's probably worth it. But if what you're trying to find is a good multiplayer experience or something like that, this game isn't it, at least from me personally speaking. The game's laggy, it's clunky, it's generally just not smooth. There's too many issues with it. Like I said, I would just simply prefer to play Modern Warfare. But the last note that I'll leave you with is that this game has a lot of potential if they iron these issues out. I just don't have a lot of faith that they're going to put in the effort necessary to iron these issues out in a relatively short time period. And so personally speaking, I'm going to be playing a lot of zombies. I'll be finishing out the campaign, and then I'll be going back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare to play that multiplayer and play that Warzone. That's pretty much what I care about, and for you guys, that's what I recommend as well. But again, take that all with a grain of salt, because you guys might care about different things and different aspects of the game than I will, and you might play the game differently, and you might find this multiplayer to be fantastic in comparison to the other Call of Duty games. Just from my perspective, it's not. The game gets a C-. And I would just like to tell you guys that from my perspective, it is not worth your money to purchase this game. Honestly, it's probably worth about $30 at this point, in my personal opinion, if I were to give you an estimate. So if you find a good deal on Black Friday or whatever it might be to grab this game on sale, then yeah, it might be worthwhile. But honestly, I think it's probably the lowest graded game that I've ever reviewed on the channel, with a 71.7 grade and a C-. I mean, man, it's just disappointing in comparison to Modern Warfare. It just isn't good. And, you know, I hate to say that because I had high expectations for it, but, you know, like I said, I'm going to be playing zombies, I'm going to be playing campaign, and then I'm hopping back over to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, what grade you guys would give the game. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video if you guys appreciate my game reviews. Even if you disagree with it, you know, let me know if you guys can at least kind of see some of where I'm coming from, and let me know your point of view on it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. As I said, comment down below and leave a like on the video. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys have a great night.